everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be bringing you my August wrap-up. Now, August was actually my best reading month of the entire year so far. I somehow managed to fit in 17 books in the month of August. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, then you've probably realized that my reading typically goes that I read a few books in the beginning of the month and then read the majority at the end of the month. But this month was actually reversed. I read a ton in the first 2 weeks of August. I finished 12 books by the middle of the month. So if you have not seen my mid-month wrap-up for August, I will link it in a card. Please go watch that one because that is where you're going to see the majority of the books that I read in August. Now, after reading all those books, I did fall into a little bit of a reading slump and I'm just now trying to get out of it, but I did manage to finish 5 more books in the rest of the month, and one of those books was almost 700 pages long, so I can't really complain. So I am going to give you a few stats. These stats are all inclusive, all 17 books that I read in August, and then I'm going to move into reviewing the last 5 books of the month. If you are new here and you're not already, be sure to subscribe to my channel by hitting the red button down below and also hit that bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of my content. So without further ado, let's get started. So going into a few stats about the books I read this month, first I like to talk about the publication year. So 5 of the books that I read this month were published in either 2018 or 2019, and the other 12 books that I read were all published in 2017 or before. As far as reading format, I read 4 physical books, 6 ebooks, 4 audiobooks, and 3 books in multiple formats, so more than one of each of those formats. That doesn't add up to 17. But I'm too lazy to go look at it right now. As far as book genres, I read 5 contemporaries, 8 fantasies, we were heavy on the fantasy this month, 1 science fiction, 1 historical fiction, 1 nonfiction, and 1 classic. As far as age range, we have 1 middle grade, 13 young adult, and 3 adult. As far as author genders go, we had 13 female authors and 4 male authors. And lastly, for ratings, we were really all over the place this month. I had 1 1.5 star, 1 2 star, 1 2.5 star, 2 3 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 4 4 stars, 1 4.5 star, and 4 5 stars. So with all of those stats out of the way, you can see it was a really mixed bag for me reading-wise this month. So little here, little there. Again, if you want more information on the books that I read in the earlier half of the month, you are definitely going to want to go and watch my mid-month wrap-up, and that's where you'll get the majority of your information. And now I'm going to move into the last 5 books that I completed in August. So the first book I want to talk about is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. This novel follows our main character, Taylor, and at the beginning of the novel, Taylor's father gets some pretty devastating news, and it's looking like this is going to be the last summer that the family is going to be spending together. So they have this lake house that they used to go to and spend every single summer, and they haven't been back in about 5 years, and now that it's looking like they will not be together much longer, they decide to go back for one last summer and spend the season together. Taylor is really nervous about going back to this lake house because she left on really bad terms with her crush and her best friend, and she doesn't know if they're going to be there or what's going to happen when she reunites with them. I have loved every Morgan Matson book that I've ever read. This one is definitely a little bit harder hitting than her other ones. She tends to write more light and fluffy contemporary, but I really enjoyed seeing this darker side of things. Now, as always with Morgan Matson's books, there are some incredible friendships and incredible relationships in this story. I really loved all the characters and the way that they came together. I will say from the synopsis alone, I expected there to be a little bit more of a family element. I think there might have been just a little bit too much focus on the friendship and relationship and trying to mend what happened, but overall, I really can't complain. This was a bittersweet and heartwarming novel that I really enjoyed. If you're looking for something that will make you laugh and lift your spirits, but will also hit you in the feels, go ahead and pick this one up. Overall, I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed in August is Wild Card by Marie Lu, and this is the second and final book to the Warcross duology. So Warcross follows our main character, Amika Chen, who is a hacker, and in the first novel, there is this technology called Warcross that's a game, but it's also a way of life. Almost everyone is on it all the time, and it's pretty much taken over society. And during the Warcross Championships, Amika actually hacks herself into the game, and things evolve from there. Now, Warcross was one of my absolute favorite books last year. It completely blew me out of the water, one of my brand new favorite sci-fi novels. So I didn't pick up Wild Card immediately after that. It took me all the way until now to pick it up, and unfortunately I did not love it as much as I loved the first one. There were definitely some really great action-packed moments in here that had me gripped and had me on the edge of my seat, but overall I just didn't find myself sucked into the story like I did in Warcross. So if you've already read Warcross and you really want more, go into this one with a little bit lower expectations, but I mean, it is still worth the read. But honestly, if you just want to read Warcross, you would probably be fine. Overall, I wound up giving this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I completed was Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. This novel follows a family of women who all have powers to grow things and make flowers. And they have been living in this estate and keeping up with it and growing flowers everywhere. But they are stuck on this land because it will not let them leave. If a member of the family tries to go away, run away from this place, it ends up either killing them or making them so weak that they have to return to gain strength. The other secret of this family is that if any of them ever fall in love too deeply, the land takes away the person that they love and they just vanish. But all of a sudden, this strange boy appears on their lands and nobody knows who he is or where he came from, and he doesn't remember anything about himself. So the novel follows these characters trying to figure out who this boy is and where he came from, as well as deal with them being on this land. Now, I went into this book with really high expectations, and I will say I think I was let down by it. This book definitely has some of the most beautiful writing that I've ever read. But that being said, you have to be in the mood to read this, because otherwise you will get bogged down and it will put you into a slump like it did with me. I think in parts it was too flowery and I was just skimming the page and not really understanding what was going on. You have to really be in your head and you really have to focus to understand the plot and see what's going on. By the end of it, I kind of found myself just reading the dialogue and just wanting to get to the end. I definitely did enjoy what happened and I liked the explanations that were given, but overall it just wasn't what I expected it to be. But Anna Marie McLemore's novels really fascinate me and her premises sound really interesting, so I do think that I will be continuing with this author, but it might be a while until I'm ready to be in that mindset again. So overall, I wound up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up The Silver Mask by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This is the 4th book in the Magisterium series. Now, let me tell you, this series, dare I say, is the most slept on series on BookTube. Nobody talks about it, and it's so good. Now, the first book to the Magisterium series is called The Iron Trial, and it follows this boy named Callum Hunt, who has been told by his father his entire life to not get into the Magisterium, which is a magical school. His father does not want him to go there. He wants him to have absolutely nothing to do with magic. So whenever Cal is made to take the entrance exam to the Magisterium, he tries his best to fail. But somehow he still winds up getting into this school and chaos ensues from there. Now, this is a 5-book middle grade series, and this was book 4 that I just completed. Book 3 had left me wanting more. I was kind of disappointed with book 3 and I was nervous going into book 4 that it would be the same thing. This one was so good. I think Holly Black and Cassandra Clare make a beautiful team together. These stories are just so entertaining and fun. Obviously, they are a little bit more juvenile because they are meant for middle grade, but I do feel like they get more palatable and more relatable to us whenever these characters are aging. In this book, I think they're 15 or 16, so they're a little bit more relatable, and the storyline just gets more and more interesting and intriguing, and this one was really, really good. So I'm definitely going to be continuing with this series. There's only 1 book left that I have to finish, and I cannot wait to do so. And if you are looking for a good new middle grade series or just a new easy fantasy series in general, please go pick this one up. I feel like when The Iron Trial came out several years ago, people liked it then, and then I barely heard anything about it after that. So don't sleep on this series anymore. It is so good. So I wound up giving The Silver Mask a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read in August was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. After it took me a month to read Empire of Storms, I read Tower of Dawn in less than 2 weeks. Now, Tower of Dawn is the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. I'm sure that the majority of you have already read this novel. It takes place at the same time that book 5, Empire of Storms, was happening, and this novel follows Chaol. Now, after Queen of Shadows, everybody hated Chaol. I disagree. Chaol is a cinnamon roll and I love him, and I was so excited to read this one, but I was scared because everybody said that they didn't like Chaol anymore. But this was so good. Now, I will say we get some separate chapters between Chaol and Nezrin. I could really care less about Nesrin's chapters, but Kale's chapters were so good. I was scared that I was going to be bored or just not interested, but they were so good. And then the way that it came together, just this whole narrative, the action was there, the romance was there, the characters were there, everything was there, and it was just the best. After I was pretty disappointed with book 5, I was really scared about this one, but I was so pleasantly surprised. This is definitely my favorite book in the series so far. I've actually already started Kingdom of Ash. I didn't include it in my September TBR because I didn't know that I was going to be reading it, but let's just casually pick up a 1,000-page novel for September. But regardless, obviously I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. So that is it for the rest of the books that I read in August. Like I said, August was the best month of the year so far for me numbers-wise, and I hope that it continues into September. I'm going to be really busy. I have a lot of trips coming up and a lot of work that I need to do, but we'll see what we can do. So if you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on them in the comments down below. I always love to chat with you guys, and let me know what your favorite book of August was. If you like what you saw today, please hit the thumbs up button as well as the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you never miss any of my content. So until next time, bye!